Hello everybody and welcome back. I am the Pumpkin King, and in today's episode we're going to be continuing our island showcase with the very first island that we would come across, but the last in the 5 Deaths series before we get to Nublar, Isla Matenceros. Now the theme for this island is dinosaur movies. In my head, I imagine that you would stop at this island first during your sequence of the 5 Deaths. You would come here. You'd see these amazing creatures that are brought to life, pulled right out of the films of your childhood. And there they are alive in front of you, and you say, how can this be? And then you go to the next island, Isla Muerta, and you find out exactly how this can be and how they dig up the dinosaurs, and you learn about what the dinosaurs were like when they were alive. And then you go to Muerta East, and they are alive, and they're there, and they're real, and they're vibrant, and you can touch them and see them and taste them. Well, probably not taste unless you're going to a specific restaurant. But, you know, you can see them. They're real. They're something you can see and touch. Then you hop over to Isla Tacaño and Tacaño Research Facility. You learn about how they are studying the dinosaurs and how they are using their techno-wizardry to make new dinosaurs and to pull them back from death and to bring them back to life. Then you move on to Isla Pena. Here on Isla Pena, you would find the efficiencies that go into running the parks, to see all of the systems that are in place and learn about how they control the animals and keep a balance of nature. And finally, you get to Isla Sorna, which is a showcase island of the past. Sorna itself has the 4 major time groups. It's got the Triassic, Jurassic, Early Cretaceous, and Late Cretaceous. And, of course, on the other side of Sorna is Sorna 93, where you would learn about the Site B facility and about the disaster that occurred there. And then you would move on to Isla Nublar, which we will be doing next week. But before we do that, we need to jump in and take our tour of the first island that you would encounter and the last of the 5 Deaths on our guided tour, Isla Matenceros. As you enter from the monorail, enter into this beautiful rotunda area that has one of my favorite trees here as a decoration inside this reflecting pool. I sort of imagine this sort of like the Tree of Life at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Around it we have a security bunker, a fossil center, a gift shop, paleo greenhouse, and behind the paleo greenhouse we actually have a garden. This is an arboreum where we're growing all of our famous trees. This is where we'll be growing the trees to transplant to the island exhibits. Also, we have right here to our right an exhibit for the Edmontosaurus. I'm actually going to turn on daytime for right now because we are going to want to see this in day, but I will be putting it back when we go to get on the great movie ride. More on that later. So we have 2 different colorations of Edmontosaurus here. These are the rainforest and also the null skin. I like the null skin for the Edmontosaurus. I really like the teal head and the copper body. It's pretty cool. But this represents the sexual dimorphism, and of course we have our paleobotany feeder, so these Edmontosaurus are as happy as they can be. We've got our restaurant here with outdoor seating and the clothes store. Up there is where we have the complex for all of the power stations and everything. It would have a gate across the front so that nobody could go up there. We have our arcade and the bathroom. And if we come over this way, this is where you'll pick up the monorail, but it's also where you get the gyrosphere. So let's go ahead and jump into that. Over here on our left, we have a herd of apatosaurs and diplodocus. Once again, I like to mix these two dinosaurs just because they do work so well together, and because Apatosaurus was considered to be a diplodocid for a while there. But these actually represent the sauropods at the beginning of the movie Fantasia.
Apatosaurus is a large sauropod with a long neck and correspondingly sized tail for balance. Its name means deceptive lizard.
Here on the Great Movie Ride, I attempt as much as possible to recreate the scenes from famous dinosaur movies. The first three are from Fantasia. Disney's Fantasia from 1934, I want to say. Over here on our right, we have some Parasaurolophus that are feeding off of that ground feeder here. These don't have the sail like they do in the movie, but I would love it if they did. We also have our Stegosaurus. There's only one in here. If you remember Fantasia, they are... the Stegosaurus is really fat and pudgy, chonky boy that gets eaten. I have Myosaurus representing the Hadrosaur that would appear in Fantasia, and we also have some Triceratops wandering around. And we have Gallimimus that appear here. These are similar to the bird-like dinosaurs that you saw in the scene there during the Rite of Spring. Another Triceratops crossing the path there. And as we come around the corner here, we're going to be entering into a carnivore area. Now, I'm hoping that we'll be able to actually see it on the guided tour. If not, I do have a video that will be putting it together for the dinosaurs that actually recreate the scenes that I'm trying to show here. But this is at the end of the Rite of Spring series scene where the, quote, T-Rex shows up, the Tyrannosaurus. First of all, I should point out that Fantasia is massively anachronistic in that they have Tyrannosaurus fighting a Stegosaurus, which is impossible, since Tyrannosaurus is actually closer in time to us than to Stegosaurus. But I have an Allosaurus here, partly because I didn't want a T-Rex, because there's only one T-Rex, and that's on Isla Nublar, and also because it is more period correct to be fighting a Stegosaurus. We're now entering into our next movie. Welcome to Dinosaur, the Disney movie from 2001. If you look over to our left, you can see this is where we have the Iguanodon nesting area. There are nests over there full of eggs. We also have said Iguanodons right here wandering around. This would be Aladar's family from the opening scene of Dinosaur. We also have the Pachyrhinosaurus and the Parasaurolophus that were also seen in the film. Let's jump to another gyrosphere so we don't get stuck here. Rounding the corner, we enter into the second part of that scene. This is the river scene. This is where we have the Brachiosaurus, which, again, the movie is anachronistic since Brachiosaurus wouldn't have been around during the time of the Carnotaurus. As you can actually see right over here to our right, just emerging from the trees dramatically like it did in the movie, attempting to eat a baby Parasaurolophus, though, of course, we are not going to have that since we don't have baby Parasaurs here. This enclosure also has, and I hope that we see them, some oviraptors wandering around in here too. I don't know if we'll see them or not, but we have two oviraptors matching the one that set Aladar on his journey in his egg before it was picked up by this Aerodactyl.
Her calls can be heard from across the park.
Dinosaur is a great movie, but it does have a lot of anachronisms in it, and it's... Actually, I take it back. It's not really that great a movie. We're now entering into a real great movie, though. This is Jurassic Park, which is kind of meta, I realize, but we're recreating the Gallimimus scene from Jurassic Park. I have feeders at both the top and bottom of the field here. So I have the feeders at the top and the water at the bottom, so the Gallimimus will flock down the hill in the way that they do in the movie. And there is a actual log, though you can't see it from here, that represents where Alan, Lex, and Tim hid from the trampling Gallimimus as they were herding this way. And that's our great movie ride. From here, you can hop on the monorail. And I wonder, can we actually? Yes! We've been having problems with monorails on the islands where they're just getting blocked up for some reason. I don't really understand it, but this one is working, so we'll go ahead and ride this one. And the monorail brings us right around the back of the great movie ride. It also is allowing us to go to the other parts of the island. But here you can see the great movie ride from above. Riding the monorail around, you can see the Edmontosaurus exhibit over here, and to our left, this is our obligatory guest complex with our restaurant, the clothes store, and the arcade. Gotta have those three things, you know. And here is our Triple Crown Hotel. The Triple Crown is so named because it has 3 parts, which I would imagine as being connected by a skyway. And you check in at the central part. We're now coming in to the hotel station, so let's go ahead and jump out of the monorail. And we'll head on over and get checked in. But you can follow the walkway that way, or you can take the more fun route through our final dinosaur movie, The Land Before Time. In here, we have Nodosaurus representing Spike. And this path winds around and through this area. You have Triceratops representing Sarah. We don't have any pteranodons for Petrie because, well, I couldn't get an aviary in here if I tried. And anyway, you don't want pteranodons loose. They're not good for you. But we do have some Camarasaurs representing Littlefoot and his family, and they do love their star leaves. And over in here, we also have some Centausaurus representing Ducky, who I believe is probably a Lambeosaurus, but I couldn't find a good mod for that in time to build this particular park, so I just went with what I had. Walking through that area will bring you over to the guest area here, where you've got your trifecta. This is actually the lower end of the great movie ride. You can see the Apatosaurs and the Diplodocus right up there. I do have this water down here along the fence, and very rarely the Diplodocus will actually come and stick their head over the fence and drink from the water there. Doesn't happen very often, but they do it occasionally. Coming through the woods here, over on the back, you can see the guest view of the great movie ride. Right here is actually what I wanted to show you. In behind the monorail, you can see there's this little gate here. And behind and under the monorail, there's actually a service road for the rangers to get in and out and to refill the paleo feeder. Now, obviously, this being the SANDBOX world, I don't have to worry about that, but I like putting these little backstage details so that it is more believable in the long run. Get another view from this viewing platform. This one's a bit better. The view is obstructed by these pylons, though once again you'd have to imagine it would be underground. I wouldn't have pylons like this actually in view of the guests. You can see those Diplodocus down there, and the great movie ride going by right at the top. this viewing gallery looks out over the Land Before Time area. You can see we've got a little seating area so that you can sit there. There's actually benches all along through the Land Before Time area where you can sit and watch the dinosaurs. And we got those Camarasaurus right there, just kind of hanging out. The view from the Triple Crown hotels is similar. You can see the waterfalls off in the distance, which is one of the great benefits of working on Isla Matenceros, is you get those beautiful waterfalls. And of course, you can also see the entire Land Before Time area from the balconies as well. Rounding behind this bluff here is our backstage area. This is where we've got all of the security stuff that you wouldn't see. This is the backstage behind the scenes part where we have our Hammock Creation Lab, ACU Center, Ranger Station, and Security Office. So there you go. And that is Isla Matenceros, the island of great movie dinosaurs. There they are, flocking this way. And that actually concludes all of the islands of the 5 deaths. Our next stop next week will be Isla Nublar for a special little jaunt into the past where we take a look at a book-accurate Jurassic Park. But until next time, I am the Pumpkin King, and I will see you later.